in Tough Fantasy Baseball today on Tuesday, April 22nd. I definitely did not write March 22nd on my intro here. That would have been interesting. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Scott White and Chris Towers. Today on the show, it's time to have a conversation about Max Meyer and Hunter Brown, because both of them have been amazing. Early look at league-wide trends. We'll do a little buy, sell, or hold, and much more. But let's jump in to Players of the Night.
Can you believe it? Wow!
All right, Chris, can you believe how good Max Meyer has been?
Yes, I will take the Olive Garden breadstick of the night, or since we're in Little Havana for this one, maybe it's the La Carreta Tostone of the night or something like that. The Croqueta of the night. That's what we'll go with. And that's Max Meyer, who tied the second best strikeout mark in Marlins history with 14. I was hoping he would get a chance to go for the record, which is 16, but he did not get that opportunity. Oh, well, only 14 strikeouts in 6 innings of work. I think a little bit of this is, it's the Reds, and they're pretty bad, especially away from Great American Ballpark. They strike out a lot. They've got like 2 good hitters, but it's still a major league lineup. And you don't see 24 swinging strikes on 48 swings very often, including 16 swinging strikes on his slider on 21 swings. That is a 76% whiff rate. That is absolutely bonkers stuff. And that pitch has just been one of the best pitches in baseball. This season, he entered this start with a 47% whiff rate on that pitch and a 214 expected WOBA allowed. That's going to go up. And I don't know. It kind of looks like the only thing Max Meyer has going against him at this point is the 25 other guys on the Marlins roster. He did get a win today. It's his second of the season, but I think we expect Max Meyer to struggle to get wins, but he's been incredibly impressive in the early going. And I'm wondering how high is too high to rank Max Meyer at this point.
So it's not the only thing going against him, the poor supporting cast. The other thing going against Max Meyer is that his career high in innings as a professional is 111, and that was 2021. The most he's thrown since 2021 in a season is 61.
He threw 115 total last year.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't do the quick math there between AAA and the majors. Okay, so it's not quite as bad, but there will come a point where they have to curtail his innings, and probably some of that is going to happen throughout the year. So it's, we were texting earlier the night, Frank, and you brought up maybe Max Meyer's this year's Garrett Crochet, and I think at the very least from the perspective of this guy is clearly a dominant pitcher, inning for inning, he's going to be amazing, but there might be a short shelf life and his supporting cast is terrible. I think that all fits for Max Meyer also. And so I think we're definitely in the enjoy it phase of that. And there's a lot to enjoy. I mean, you mentioned the slider, Chris, with the 76% whiff rate it had in this game added to the 47% whiff rate season long. Like is that going to bump it over 50? A pitch he throws 40% of the time is going to have better than a 50% whiff rate. I was just raving about how Landon Roop has the same thing. His is verging on 60%, the whiff rate on his curveball. And you don't see that. I mean, a 40% whiff rate is amazing. Like a pitch with a 40% whiff rate, but usually it's a secondary pitch. These guys, Roop and Meyer, their main pitch, a breaking ball in both cases.
And it feels, relative to Roop, it feels a little more sustainable for Meyer, just because a 90-mile-an-hour slider feels like it's going to be easier to command consistently than Roop's. His curveball is like 77 miles per hour, right? It's a big loopy thing. And so I feel like losing the feel for that could happen in a way that
he has
even last year,
even this year, Roop with the walks.
Meyer wasn't great last year, but he did throw that pitch 41% of the time with a 34% whiff rate. He's taken it to another level this year. He's expanded the arsenal. today he was barely throwing any fastballs. It was like 23% combined sinker and fastball usage, change up 21 times, 18 of them to lefties, got 4 whiffs with that, which is not something we've really seen from Max Meyer. He got 2 whiffs with the sweeper. His fastball velocity continues to sit up about a mile per hour from where it was last year. Today, maybe more like, about a mile per hour today as well. And the thing with the Crochet comp is I don't think he's as good as Garrett Crochet. I don't think Max Meyer is that kind of talent. Like Garrett Crochet, a lefty throwing 97 with a 93 mile an hour cutter with 7.2 feet of extension or whatever it was last season. Like that felt overwhelmingly dominant in a way I don't think Max Meyer is, although he was tonight. And it was very fun to watch. But I think there is less workload concern here because, like Frank pointed out, it was 150 innings last year. So he's not going to throw 180. 115. He's not going to throw 180 innings, but 160, 165, that's pretty attainable, I would think, for Max Meyer. And so, yeah, there will be some early hooks, but I don't think it's going to be like a concerted effort like it was with Crochet. You know, with Meyer, what we're more likely to see is like tonight, where it was frustrating that he was pulled after 6 innings because he was only at 92 pitches, but you understand why they didn't want to push it. I get it. We saw something similar when he had the no-hit bid against the Mets 2 starts ago. But yeah, he's gone 6 innings in 4 starts in a row. He's had more than a strikeout per inning in 4 out of 5 starts. It's been a very, very impressive start for Max Meyer. And I'll be honest, I really didn't think he had this in him. Like, I started to buy back in this spring when he was throwing harder and had added the sinker and the sweeper and the changeup. But like, I really did not think Max Meyer had this kind of upside anymore.
And it's a really small sample, like everything is right now. It's only 5 starts, but everything under the hood looks ace-like as well. It's a 2.10 ERA, 107 WHIP, but a 240 FIP, 206 xFIP, 12.3 K per 9, 58% ground ball rate. So really doing everything that you can ask for, limiting walks, getting whiffs, getting ground balls, and everything kind of backs up what Max Meyer has done to this point. So maybe there's a conversation later in the season, like sell high if we have any concerns of a shutdown or anything. But if you drafted Meyer, I think you just kind of reap the rewards and you might have one of this season's biggest breakout pitchers on your hands. Scott, let's go over to you. Your player of the night, Hunter Brown, who is now 5 for 5 in quality starts this season.
And I believe I saw he's up to 24 consecutive scoreless innings. Right? Sorry, it looked like I was right. Looked like I was glitching there for a second, and I wasn't sure you guys were hearing me. Yeah, he's been great so far, Hunter Brown. Better control, much better control than we've seen from him in the past. It's come close to halving his walk rate from a year ago. Halving, I guess that is a V, but it sounded like I was saying having, like having a baby. He is halving his walk rate from a year ago. And also missing a lot more bats. Also got the ground ball rate way up, 58%. And he was a good ground ball pitcher to begin with, but 58% ground ball rate, that's verging on elite. So he's kind of just become better in every way. And he was already pretty good to begin with. I think there was a consistency concern with Hunter Brown. I mean, you look at the month by month breakdown for him last year, particularly early on, was just terrible. And then caught fire late. And because he's one of those pitchers who has a very full arsenal of pitches as opposed to having one dominant pitch like Max Meyer, you know, Meyer has a pretty full arsenal too, but it's really the slider. He has that bread and butter, that unhittable pitch. And Hunter Brown doesn't really have that. And I feel like that profile is a little more difficult to predict. And then when you have control issues like we've seen Brown have at times in the past, and normally a high ground ball rate is a good thing, but it can lead to just a lot of bad luck spamming all at once, and enough ground balls sneaking through that you could see the whip and the ERA blow up because of that. There may be some of that in Hunter Brown's future still. Obviously, he's not going to sustain the current 1.16 ERA he has, but in all the ways he should be good, he seems to have gotten better. And I would be very encouraged. One league. Because I don't know if I can keep talking or not. This is what happens when we start a little bit earlier. The 12:45.
RoboScott!
Bewitching hour is on us.
People were, I gotta say, people were very excited when we got Robo Chris last week. So it's not just you, Scott.
You know what? Technology is, we're so dependent on it and it's still imperfect. But I don't like seeing RoboScott. I don't like it. I want him to go away. I want to melt him down and throw him into the bottom of the ocean. So it was good that he went away for a couple days, but he's back tonight, and that's fine. He can help me talk about Hunter Brown, I guess. Yeah, Hunter Brown's good. Bottom line.
Yeah, I think that is a pretty fair way to sum it up. The one thing I noticed is that he's relying more on his fastball and sinker this season, which at first you might not like for a starting pitcher, but he's throwing harder, and that four seam looks like it has pretty good shape. I mean, 19 inches of induced vertical break in this start, which is a great mark. His fastball's averaging 97.2 miles per hour this season. So, yeah, he's doing all the right things. I'm not sure this level of control will remain, but anything close to it, I think we might get like a borderline SP1 season out of Hunter Brown, which might be crazy to say. Maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but like a top 15 starting pitcher.
I mean, he's been pretty close to, he's probably been a top 12 SP over the last 11 calendar months, right? Because it was right around the end of May when he figured it out, or was the end of April last year?
I think it was sometime in May.
So, this is not just a flash in the pan. Now, he is doing some different stuff this season. Like you said, more fastballs and sinkers, throwing about 1.5 miles per hour harder on those two pitches, which is really helping. The four-seamer had excellent numbers last season. Remember, his breakout kind of came from throwing the four-seamer less and throwing the sinker more, which seemed to help both pitches play up. And so, yeah, it's been really, really impressive. I don't see a lot of reason to doubt it. Now that he's carried it over from last year, I think there was some question about whether he would carry it over, but once he did, and frankly, in some ways looks even better. We haven't seen the strikeout rate jump quite yet, but if he's a 26% strikeout rate guy with the command that he's had, over the last 11 months, he looks really good.
I don't know that we are going to see the strikeout rate jump. Obviously, he got 9 and 7 innings in this one. That was a good strikeout game, but 12 whiffs on 96 pitches. It's decent. It's not doesn't make him look like a world-class bat misser or anything. I think the comp I'm imagining now for Hunter Brown, and maybe this goes along with your prediction, Frank, is Max Fried. I think before I was concerned he would only be Mitch Keller. And now, particularly if these control gains hold, the profile looks a lot like a right-handed Max Fried.
Yeah, I could definitely see something like that working out here for Hunter Brown. My player of the night was going to be Tyler McGill, but I'm going to save that for a little bit later on so we can keep things moving. I have buy, sell, or hold coming up, and Tyler McGill will be part of that. Before we take our first break, reminder to sign up for the FBT newsletter if you haven't already. If you're watching on YouTube, scan that QR code. That will take you right to the CBS website where you can sign up for the newsletter for free. And big thanks to those watching us live. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let's take a break, and we'll be back right after this.
The clock never stops. Relive the greatest moments with uninterrupted highlights and more. It's Garrett Bale! Ronaldo! Wonderful goal! On the UEFA Champions League channel. Streaming free.
Welcome back in Fantasy Baseball today. And before we get to the news and notes, obviously the big news of the day was that the A's are promoting their top prospect, Nick Kurtz. We did an emergency podcast on that earlier, so make sure to check that out. It's in your podcast feed. It's also on YouTube. The other news and notes of the day, and this one just feels like a cruel joke. And I realize we're like 3 weeks past April Fool's Day, but kind of wish this was an April Fool's Day joke because Spencer Strider was placed in the IL with a strained right hamstring, which he suffered while playing catch.
No more playing for pitchers, just pitching. We had Spencer Getty's injury like last week. Just no more. Just keep him in bubble wrap.
Yeah. I mean, what's the point of having those big old legs if you can't even keep them?
It's true.
Can't even keep them healthy. What's going on?
The more muscle you have, the more there is to strain.
And the tough thing here is like it's a hamstring, so obviously it's a best case scenario that it's not like an arm injury, but
yeah,
hamstring injuries are really tricky and they can be a minimum stay on the IL. I think it was backdated to Friday. So, you're talking about 11 more days or 12 more days, but it very easily could be just a month for a pretty normal hamstring strain. So that it's super frustrating because we probably just won't know.
And then the longer he's out, the more of a buildup he's going to need. So it's, Justin Steele missed quite some time early last year with the hamstring injury.
I want to say it was like 6 weeks, right?
We don't know the severity of it yet, so I don't want to jump ahead. But man, it was it was like a gut punch seeing that because all the excitement, Strider finally back, and then it's like
you waited all this time, right?
Oh, never mind, his hamstring. And look, I know he's as frustrated as anyone. He's very intense, but yeah, it stinks. And all you can do is continue to stash him. At least it's not an arm injury. Hopefully it won't be out too long.
The Padres placed Luis Arraez on the 7-day concussion IL after that scary collision on Sunday night. Gavin Sheets started at first base for the Padres here on Monday. The Brewers have promoted reliever Craig Yoho, who we have mentioned on this podcast a few times. Last season in the minors, .94 ERA, .94 whip, 15.8 K per nine, 10 saves, 5 holds. He looks like the closer of the future. I don't want to just push Trevor McGill out of that role just yet, but are you guys looking to add Craig Yoho anywhere?
I think deep leagues.
Yeah, deep.
Where you... The sort of leagues where you have to speculate on saves because any new closer option who emerges is going to go for like 20% of your fab budget. So not many people play in those types of leagues, but if you do, you know who you are. And I think Craig Yoho immediately becomes the fallback for Trevor McGill. Now, I say that, like, if Trevor McGill lost his job tomorrow, I imagine somebody like Abner Uribe would step in. They wouldn't turn it over to Craig Yoho right away. But I don't think Trevor McGill is losing his job tomorrow. And I think by the time that happens, if it ever happens, I'm imagining Craig Yoho will have solidified his place in the bullpen. He was ridiculous with the strikeouts this spring, too. I think he had like 2 per inning.
That changeup is like Devin Williams-esque.
Yeah, it got compared to the Airbender, yeah. And now, notably, his strikeout rate at AAA this year hasn't been that impressive.
That's 5
Obviously
innings.
a small sample, but I will put that out there just to put everything out there.
Unfortunately, the corresponding move was sending Logan Henderson back to AAA. He was great in his debut on Sunday, but Tobias Myers is returning later this week. If you picked up Logan Henderson anywhere, do you hold?
Yeah, I think you hold most everywhere because that rotation has a lot of vulnerabilities in it. And I mean, Quinn Priester, it's not like he was amazing in this start. He struggled with control. He made it only 4 innings. I think Logan Henderson's going to be back in short order, and you'd rather not have to push everybody out of the way for him again. And because starting pitcher is always in demand and the waiver wire is pretty thin and interesting ones right now, I think that's all the more incentive to hold on to Henderson.
The one thing I would say is because of the timing of this, Henderson being sent down on a Monday. Assuming there's no injuries, he will have to be down for a minimum of 10 days. If you're in a weekly waiver wire league, I could see cutting him at the end of this week just because we won't know if he's coming back next week, and then you're basically dealing with a dead roster spot for 2 weeks. But I wasn't on the show yesterday, but I really liked what Logan Henderson did. I thought it was very impressive. I agree with everything that you guys said. I think it looked really, really good. I do want to point out on Craig Yoho, this kind of highlights how weird that pitch is, the changeup. The Statcast thought it was a curveball.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So that'll be great to talk about whenever we see that Statcast data.
They'll fix it, and I'm sure Mard will say changeup because we know that's a changeup, but based solely on the movement characteristics of the pitch, they branded it a curveball, which I always find that funny.
Do you guys have any interest in Tobias Myers, who will make his debut on Thursday? He's 36% rostered.
Less than in Logan Henderson.
Yeah, I know he was good last year, but I think he's just a guy.
George Kirby is scheduled to throw a live batting practice this week. He's on the IL with right shoulder inflammation. Max Scherzer played catch on Monday. He said the session went okay, and this is the first time he's throwing since receiving a second cortisone injection in his right thumb last week. Mason Wynn is likely to be activated Tuesday against the Braves. Tyler Stevenson worked out at AAA this weekend and is expected to begin a rehab assignment on Tuesday. Ben Rice has missed 2 straight with a left elbow contusion, but is expected to return on Tuesday. Kerry Carpenter out of the lineup with right hamstring soreness, but is expected to avoid the IL. Lane Thomas has now sat out 3 games in a row, and all 3 pitchers he sat against were right-handed pitchers, and this could be related to the injury he had last week. He was dealing with a wrist injury, but he returned for 3 games, and now he sat out 3 games, and kind of feels like they've liked what they've got from Angel Martinez, and they're trying to work him in more as well. So, like, is Lane Thomas just like on the outs right now?
He might just be a lefty option,
short side platoon
versus lefties. Yeah, because he's been. They don't do it on Fangraphs. I was hoping I could just look at what he's done since getting to Cleveland, but I know he's been very bad since the trade to Cleveland, and really all he did, like he had like a 6-homer binge at one stretch last year that kind of salvaged his numbers. But yeah, he's played 66 games with a sub 600 OPS since getting to Cleveland. That's rough.
Yeah, I feel like anything shallower than a 5 outfielder league, you can probably drop Lane Thomas. He's 62% rostered. So, head-to-head points or head-to-head categories with 3 outfielders, I think you could probably just drop Lane Thomas. Yep. The White Sox placed Chase Mindroff on the IL with right thumb inflammation. The Tigers recalled Jace Young from AAA, and he started at third base on Monday. He was batting 6th in the lineup. Once upon a time, a top prospect with big power potential, 12% rostered, deep league name. Any interest in Jace Young?
I think he still is a prospect. He was coming into the year, and this is the first at bats he's gotten. So yeah, I mean, he was performing well at AAA. I don't know that his profile is going to work so well at Comerica Park because it's a lot of elevating versus hitting the ball, genuinely hitting the ball hard, and it's a big right center field area at that ballpark. So it may be a poor venue fit there for Jace Young, but I think there's skill there. I think there's, I don't know, like a Brandon Lau type ceiling for Jace Young. So worth keeping an eye on, even if he's not somebody you're rushing out and adding yet.
Nestor Cortez was transferred to the 60-day IL. He's out with a flexor strain, and the Blue Jays optioned Easton Lucas back to AAA on Monday.
I believe he was 95% rostered in NFC main events this week. Just an all-time bad to-start performance by Easton Lucas.
And people gave him some fab to get him too. So
I mean,
it's the triple whammy. You give up like
you got none of the good stuff,
right? You gave up like a tenth of your budget potentially, or probably about 5 to 10% of your budget. You got 2 terrible starts, and then you have no incentive to hold on to him.
The cruelty of fantasy baseball. We saw it firsthand there with Easton Lucas. Let's quickly run through some waiver wire options from Monday. Some of these names we've talked a lot about, but they're still available in like a third of CBS leagues. Sean Murphy woke up with another home run, 1 for 4 with his 5th homer. He was 1 for 13 in his previous 4 games before this one. He is striking out 35% of the time, but he also has 5 home runs and an OPS over 900. So he's 64% rostered. We said this last week. That number still feels like it should be higher, right?
Yeah. It's one where I don't care so much about the strikeout rate because it's a small sample size and because he's a catcher. And unless you've got one of like 8 guys, there's going to be some kind of gross flaw in whatever catcher you have, even in a 1-catcher league on the low end. So I'll take the guy with a track record who's performing right now.
And he doesn't normally strike out this high. I think it's just a small sample thing for Sean Murphy. Definitely, he strikes out more like 20 to 25% of the time than 35. So really enjoying what I've seen from him so far.
Victor Scott had a nice game here as well, 3 for 4 with a double, 2 RBI, and his 8th stolen base of the season, but he was slowing down. Previous 9 games before this, hit 154 with a 368 OPS. 68% rostered. I think that's probably about right. Maybe a little bit too high. What do you guys think? I feel like Victor Scott doesn't need to be rostered in points leagues.
Should be more highly rostered in Yahoo than CBS. I would guess he's not. But I think Victor Scott is extremely fringy in points leagues. And I think he's pretty close to must roster in categories leagues.
33% rostered on Yahoo. So if you need steals in a head-to-head categories league, or I'd imagine most roto leagues he's already rostered, but that is Victor Scott. Kyle Manzardo is someone we've talked a lot about. Obviously, he is now homered in 3 straight. He hit his 7th home run of the season. He's walking a lot. He's also hitting a ton of fly balls, which has contributed to that lower batting average. 59% rostered. He needs 1 more game to gain first base eligibility. It's just like we talk about every day. There's so many first basemen that have emerged. I don't know that we can tell people to pick up Kyle Manzardo in more leagues than he's already rostered. I just don't know.
If you missed the emergency pod, Manzardo was one first baseman I'd be willing to give up for Nick Kurtz, because I think there are some limits here. It's good upside overall. It's like in an ideal world, I'd like to have Kyle Manzardo. I'd like to have as many of these as I can and let which ones of them are going to stick sort itself out. But Manzardo, I think, has some clearer limitations than the others. Even with him about to pick up first base eligibility. You mentioned the high fly ball rate. It is a very high fly ball rate. There's a high walk rate. You mentioned that too. But it's almost too much of both. He elevates a little too much. He's a little passive at the plate, and I think both are going to continue to work against his batting average. And the power, while it's plenty enough with that fly ball rate, it's not like he's never hit a ball 110 miles per hour in the majors. It's not like conventional slugger type power for Kyle Manzardo. So he's good. You should roster him if you can, but he's on the lower end for me of the emerging first baseman.
I do agree that I don't think he has the high end, like just raw power, but entering Monday, 90.4 average exit velocity, 20% barrel rate those are really, really good numbers. I don't know if he can keep that up.
They're unsustainably good, I would say.
Yeah, he probably profiles more as like a 25 to 28-ish home run guy. I'm not sure he's like a 30-plus home run talent. That's Kyle Manzardo. Zach McKinstry continues to impress, 3 for 4 with a walk, double, and a triple. He has started 12 of the past 13 games for the Tigers. He's hitting .314 with a .424 on-base percentage. Not really much power or speed to speak of here. Up to 43% rostered, third base, shortstop, and outfield eligible. Kind of just feels like a points league, play him while he's hot kind of thing based on that OBP, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
He is eligible in 3 places. I think that's the best thing Zach McKinstry has going for him. Unfortunately, I don't really I don't think there's much here at all.
All right. Caleb Durbin is someone we've talked a lot about. The Brewers promoted him late last week, and he is on the board with his first career home run, added 2 RBI, and he is 32% rostered. What size leagues do you think Caleb Durbin needs to be rostered in?
Probably traditional roto and deeper.
Mm-hmm.
He should be rostered in as a middle infield option who'll probably help in speed. I don't imagine he's going to be a significant source of home runs, but maybe he could make, from a 5x5 perspective, an Andres Jimenez type impact if everything goes well. He walks, at least in theory, he walks a lot more than Jimenez, so it's not like an apples to apples comparison. But I'm talking about strictly from a 5x5 perspective, what you can hope for from Durbin in those categories.
I think there's probably a higher stolen base ceiling with his track record and playing on Milwaukee. I could see a 40 homer season for
Could you now?
I would be shocked if we got a 40 homer career from Caleb Durbin. I could see a 40 homer 40 steal season for Caleb Durbin. But it's going to be, I think, very limited power. Even the home run today, under 100.1 mile per hour average or exit velocity, that's pretty low end.
4 names in deeper leagues. Noelvi Marte was given another start after his huge game on Sunday. He went 2 for 4 with his second steal and has started 3 of the past 4 games. Kind of looks like Jeimer Candelario is legitimately losing playing time there, so maybe they will continue to play Marte. Eric Wagaman is someone who plays for the Marlins, and he might be a thing in deeper leagues. 2 for 5 with a sock and a shoe. 3rd home run, his first steal. He's 27 years old, has put up some okay numbers in the minors, has started 9 of the past 10 games. Agustin Ramirez had a fun debut, 2 for 3 with a double, a walk, and his first career stolen base. The double, 110.4 exit velocity. So all around, Chris, as a Marlins fan watching this game, Max Meyer, 14 strikeouts, and Agustin Ramirez, it's just, it provides a little bit of hope for the future, I think, which is pretty cool.
I've got a group chat with all my friends from back home, and like anytime anyone expresses any excitement, it's always met immediately like, they're gonna trade everyone, and like, yeah, they're probably gonna trade Sandy Alcantara, and at some point they will probably trade Max Meyer, but it's okay to be excited about things.
You don't have to live years in the future in baseball.
Yeah,
right?
Like they're not going to win more than 75 games this season, but like there are some interesting things happening. The organization seems to be on the right path. And yeah, Max Meyer looks like one of the biggest breakouts in the game, and Agustin Ramirez could be one of the most fun catchers in baseball. It's okay. It's okay to be excited.
Most really high-end players eventually leave for a bigger contract elsewhere. That's just an inevitability, no matter what team has them. And so, like, you're gonna worry when the big prospect gets called up. Oh, he's gonna be gone in 7 years.
Yeah.
Like, that's just kind of
it's cynicism for cynicism's sake.
And it, probably to maximize his value, it'll actually be less than 7 years because the Marlins actually trade him. But still, it's years from now. So it's not a good way to enjoy the sport, I would say. But I was really encouraged by this debut for Agustin Ramirez, because he stole a base. Good to see him do that right away. I was skeptical that would continue in the majors because there's not a lot of pure speed there from Ramirez. He's just been opportunistic in the minors. And one game doesn't clear it up, but it's encouraging to see. Also, we didn't bring up this point. He was the one who caught the Marlins' best pitching performance of the season in his major league debut. And a big knock, probably the biggest knock on Agustin Ramirez as a prospect, is that he's not really a catcher.
Yeah.
And so if he can the more, like, one of my fears for him coming up is, will they limit his playing time for defensive reasons? Well, if he establishes some trust with the pitching staff there, then that's going to happen less.
Obviously, we're excited about Agustin Ramirez. He's only 18% rostered. Kind of feels like there's more than more than 18% of CBS leagues are 2-catcher leagues.
Oh,
so
any 2-catcher league, he should be rostered.
He should be rostered. And I think he could very quickly play his way into 1-catcher league.
In category leagues, for sure.
The upside is there. I mean, either way, honestly, categories or otherwise.
Someone named Ronnie Simon started at DH for the Marlins today. So, there will be playing time for Agustin Ramirez if he earns it.
Who is that?
I apologize. I'm not trying to be mean. I have just never heard of the person who started at DH for the Marlins.
I immediately thought of Randall Simon. Right. Seeing the name Ronnie Simon. Remember Randall Simon?
I mean, he could be probably not Randall Simon's kid, but it's possible.
He had an RBI single in this.
I wasn't necessarily saying there was a relation there. I'm just saying that's what the name reminded me of.
The other deep league name I had here was Gavin Sheets, who continues to impress. 2 for 4 with his 3rd home run. He is just hitting the crap out of the ball so far this season, and the expected stats all look great as well. Do you guys have any deep league interest in Noelvi Marte, Eric Wagaman, and Gavin Sheets? They're all corner infielders, so 15-team roto or leagues like that.
Yeah, probably. It probably have to be deeper than that, at least for Wagaman and Sheets. I will point out Wagaman's expected stats are kind of nuts. 314 expected batting average, 549 expected slug. The exit velocities are not bad. They're pretty middling, and the strikeout rate is fairly low. But I still don't understand why those expected stats are so high. I don't really expect it to continue for a 27-year-old who was merely okay in the minors. The one exception maybe to it would have to be a pretty deep league comment is Noelvi Marte. If the playing time continues and he keeps this going with the multi-hit games, with just being productive in general, then we're going to need to take a second look at him, because obviously there's big pedigree there. And there was a lot of excitement at the start of last year before he got hit with that 80-game suspension.
I think Gavin Sheets is really interesting right now. He forced his way onto the Padres roster this spring with a swing change, and he's been hitting the ball really well. So I think in certainly any 15-team league, he's viable. But I think even 12-team roto leagues with, corner infielder, and 5 outfield spots, I think Gavin Sheets could be an interesting fill-in.
All right, let's take our final break. When we return, we'll do a little buy, sell, or hold right after this quick commercial break. Welcome back in Fantasy Baseball today. Buy, sell, or hold these 10 players, and we got to keep this thing moving so we can get to Team Name Tuesday. We haven't done Team Name Tuesday in a while. I would like to do that. But
it's a lame segment, Frank. Maybe it's for the best.
Come on, Scott. I've got some gems in there for you today. We know that you love the team names, especially the ones that have as many names as humanly possible inside. So we're going to do this from a more just traditional fantasy sense of, would you be looking to buy this player, trade for this player? Would you be looking to sell high on this player? Or are they just a hold? What do we do with them in fantasy? Trevor Story, 3 for 4 with a run and RBI. He's batting .337, 5 homers, 6 steals, .894 OPS early on this season. Chris, what do you think? Buy, sell, or hold on Trevor Story?
This feels like one of the more obvious sell high candidates in recent years, frankly. He's actually been a useful roto player since getting to the Red Sox when healthy, but there have been so many injuries. The batting average has been consistently so low that I am inclined to not buy certainly the .337 batting average, but even the .290 XBA. I would take the under with about 40 points. So, I think you sell if you can. If not,
and it just feels like we're counting down the days till he gets hurt again.
But if not, if you can't sell him, I think he's a perfectly useful middle infielder. It's just I don't really think he's much more than that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's a pretty clear sell high. It's just I would imagine most people would be skeptical on him, and so if you can't technically sell high on him, I would just keep him and hope he stays healthy for as long as he can. And as long as he's healthy, I think he'll be okay. So
maybe, but I do wonder sometimes if we overestimate the. When the majority of the questions we get this time of year are, can I drop Dylan Cruz, and can I should I drop Cody Bellinger for I don't know, Rhys Hoskins or something like that. Like, I don't know. I think sometimes we maybe overestimate how deeply the average player looks into these things.
There's always one person in every league who still plays but hasn't really paid attention to baseball in like 5 years. That person's going to remember Trevor Story, and they're going to see his numbers, and they're going to think it's Trevor Story still. So there you go.
All right, let's talk about Walker Buehler, who had his best start of the season, of course, up against the White Sox. You should have your best start. 7 innings, 1 run, 9 strikeouts, 11 whiffs on 100 pitches, 2 earned runs or less, 3 starts in a row. Scott, buy, sell, or hold Walker Buehler?
This is one I can't realistically see you selling, because even though obviously this start there was a good result, and 2 of his last 3 starts it's been a good result, the overall numbers are still pretty whatever. 4.23 ERA, 1.19 WHIP, less than a strikeout per, and then the underlying data is even worse, because the swinging strike rate, I think it entered this start 7%.
Ugh.
And it didn't go up that much. He had an 11% swinging strike rate in this start for having the 9 strikeouts. And I just don't see a lot there that's changed other than the top line results. And it was more than one start of that now, but with a pretty yucky start in between the 2 good ones. So I don't think there's a lot there, just kind of random variance. And if somebody wants to take Buehler off your hands for something that I think is a little more interesting over the long haul, then I'd do it for sure. I just don't know. I just don't know that anybody's going to be eager to do that.
Christian Campbell has kept things going strong, 2 for 3 with a walk and 2 RBI. He is batting .316 with a .418 on base percentage. Has really showed a great eye at the plate. Expected stats look very good. Chris, buy, sell, or hold Christian Campbell?
I think it's a strong hold. There isn't really a lot of red flags in the profile. He's about to get outfield eligible. I think he needs 1 more appearance. That would be great for the team where I can't start him because I have Bobby Witt and Trey Turner and someone else really good who I can't remember. So really love that. The one thing, if you are hunting for red flags in Christian Campbell's profile, it's a whiff rate near 40% on both breaking and off-speed pitches, which hasn't held him back yet. The strikeout rate is manageable. He's been productive on breaking pitches, but that's one way I could see it going wrong, is just the strikeout rate starts to edge up a little bit, because he is a patient hitter. So you would think any swing and miss issue is going to more directly lead to strikeouts, because he's going to find himself in deep counts. But no, all in all, I think Christian Campbell's a star.
Gavin Williams turned in his first quality start of the season up against the Yankees. 6 1/3 innings, 2 runs, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, 21 whiffs on 104 pitches. And this was the best the fastball has looked all season. 10 of those 21 whiffs came on that pitch. Scott, buy, sell, or hold on Gavin Williams?
I'm going to lean hold here just because I don't think what you'd be selling him for would be enough to pull the trigger now. So I'm not confident that he's going to have this big breakthrough season, even though the fastball got a much better result, 10 whiffs on the 57 pitches he threw there. So, 29% whiff rate on the fastball. I think the 10 whiffs are partly just because he threw so many, as opposed to it being amazing. 29% whiff rate on a fastball is good, don't get me wrong, but it's a little misleading. And it only had 16 inches of vertical break. So it wasn't like the 18 induced vertical break, I should say. So it wasn't like the 18 we were seeing in spring training. So I don't I don't really know if the way Gavin Williams was better here is something that like marks the start of a turnaround for him. The curveball and sweeper were both up 1 mile per hour. He also finally threw some cutters.
Yes.
Only 5 of them, but at least we saw that appear on his StatCast page and got 1 whiff on the 5. So it's nice to see him bringing that back. There are some good signs here for Gavin Williams. They're just small good signs that don't totally win me back over.
Yep.
So I think I'm just going to continue to hold and see how it plays out.
4-seamer command was really good in this one, bringing back the cutter I think we talked about it last week. He just stopped throwing it this season after it was really good for him last year. If he can throw that pitch while keeping the sweeper and the 4-seam command, there's still plenty of upside with Gavin Williams. So absolutely a hold after this one.
Jazz Chisholm is providing power and speed, but the batting average has been awful thus far. He's got 7 homers, 5 steals. He's hitting 161. The strikeout rate is up to 32%. Kind of feels like he's just trying too hard to lift the ball. Launch angle, fly balls way up the season. I don't know if it's, he's got this torpedo bat. And now he thinks he's like a 40 home run hitter all of a sudden. But Chris, would you be looking to buy, sell, or hold on Jazz Chisholm?
I think hold is the only way you can really go here, because as good as the home runs and stolen bases have been, everything else has been really, really bad. I think people are going to look at that 161 batting average and kind of freak out about it. And his XBA is because I think batting average is probably still going to be a concern. But sure, yeah, that's fair. I guess I was thinking about it from the perspective of
you already have Jazz Chisholm.
You already have him. But yes, if you don't have him, I think he is a decent buy. But it's not really like it would neither be a sell high nor a buy low because it's been such a weird start for him. I think the batting average will normalize, but like the XBA is 217. So it's not like you can look at that and say, oh, this is just bad BABIP pluck. Like he's earning the bad batting average right now.
Yeah, but there's enough of a track record that I said something on the podcast the other day when you weren't on. If you're going to do single factor analysis this time of year, the factor you should be singularly analyzing is what is this guy's track record, particularly if it's a multi-year thing like Jazz Chisholm. And so unless something seems like just totally broken with his ability wise, I'm going to trust him to kind of normalize here with the strikeout rate and the launch angle, and
that's fair, and
be fine.
He also has a track record of injuries, Scott. So that's something else you have to worry about.
There is that, but you're buying low. So, he was a 2nd round pick coming into the year. If you can flip Tyler Soderstrom for him, it's kind of a sell high, buy low combo, but I do that.
Another subpar outing for Aaron Nola, who was at the Mets. 6 1/3 innings, 7 hits, 4 runs allowed, 6 strikeouts in this one. He actually left with 2 earned runs and 2 runners on. The reliever came in, gave up a 3-run homer, so a few of those get charged to Aaron Nola, who, look, we don't ever look at record for a pitcher just because, it's not really indicative for fantasy. But he's 0-5. Like he has 5 losses to start the season here. Aaron Nola does. Scott, buy, sell, or hold on Nola?
I think buy is what I'd be looking to do here. It makes me a little uncomfortable that the velocity is lagging, and he's also had this bad start. But because the swinging strike rate looks totally normal, it's not like the pitches are just getting crushed. Exit velocity readings look pretty normal for Aaron Nola. I think it's just a typical Aaron Nola rough patch that we've seen so many times over the years, and everybody freaks out, and the final numbers end up fine. Not ace-like anymore, but nobody really values him that way to begin with. He wasn't being drafted like an ace coming into the year. So I think if somebody's freaking out, you should look to take advantage of that and trust in the track record here for Nola.
Let's talk about Tyler McGill, who pitched very well on the other side of that game. 5 1/3 shutout innings, 1 hit, 4 walks, 10 strikeouts, had 14 whiffs on 92 pitches here, only allowed 1 hard hit. And what I've noticed this season, he's just kind of cleaned up the pitch mix. He's got rid of some excess pitches. He's mostly focusing on the four seam, the sinker, and the slider. And so far, it has worked. Or has it? Chris, buy, sell, or hold on Tyler McGill?
The command is super iffy. We saw it in this one. We saw it in the Marlins start where he also, did he have 10 strikeouts in that one as well?
Maybe. I'll look it up.
So the stuff has been really impressive and it's playing up. I think there are inherent limitations that make it so that I wouldn't really be trying to give up much of value for McGill, but I do think he's going to be pretty useful moving forward. The Mets pitching lab is very, very good. He had 3 strikeouts or 3 walks and 7 strikeouts in 4 innings against the Marlins. So kind of an even more extreme version of this. But yeah, I think there are always going to be some limitations here that make it tough for me to view him as someone I want to give up value for. So I would say hold, maybe lean towards sell, but I don't think you're really going to get much for Tyler McGill.
Okay. One thing I will point out from a points league perspective, I'm not sure you're going to get much length from McGill consistently or quality starts. Career 3rd time through the order for Tyler McGill, 3.07 batting average against, 5.13 slug, a 7.13 ERA. And it kind of feels like the Mets know that because they just don't let him go that deep into starts. So I think that's going to be pretty consistent with him. Kevin Gausman took a step back here at the Astros, kind of like the overall line was a step back, but some underlying things I kind of like here. 6 innings, 4 runs, 6 strikeouts to 3 walks, 14 whiffs on 96 pitches. Less fastballs here, but this was the best the splitter and the slider have looked all season. Now, the slider, we don't really expect much from that pitch from Gausman, but we've consistently been saying we need the splitter to look better. We need that pitch to get on track, and it was really good in this start. His velocity was also up in this one. So, Scott, I feel like we've kind of been like scatterbrain on Kevin Gausman this season. Where are you at now? Buy, sell, or hold Kevin Gausman?
I mean, even though the results weren't as good in this start, it was at first glance like the most excited I've been about a Kevin Gausman start because he did get the 8 whiffs on the slider. That's a 62% whiff rate on that pitch for the start. But then you dig even deeper
on the splitter.
The splitter, excuse me. Yeah, the splitter. But then you dig even deeper on that splitter. It didn't have its usual drop back. In fact, it had 2 less inches of drop than we had been seeing from the splitter this year. So it would, in terms of movement, it went the wrong direction. You mentioned the velocity was up for Gausman, 1.4 on the fastball, 2 on that splitter. So I wonder if just a harder, straighter splitter, like it's becoming a different pitch basically. And it might end up being effective in its own way. I mean, it's too small of a sample to really take anything away from it. In theory, this was a step in the right direction for Gausman, but it didn't come in the way I was expecting, which makes me a little distrustful of it.
I will say with the slider, using it more and getting good results with it today, he lost about 4 inches of drop with that pitch in this one. And, it's very much like a gyro slider for Kevin Gausman. He gets very little horizontal movement. So whatever effect he's going to get from the slider is going to have to come from that drop that he gets. And he got a little more of it. He got, 3 whiffs on 7 swings with it as well today. So maybe adding that as something he can throw about 20% of the time could make the whole thing work out a little better. But I mostly agree that I don't have a lot of confidence in the good Kevin Gausman starts this season.
Now, to get back to the segment here, I think that makes him a pretty clear sell high because the results overall have been good.
Yeah.
Even as we've kind of been wringing our hands over the way he's been doing it. I wouldn't want to sell him short. Like I wouldn't want to be playing hot potato with him. Just take him off my hands as quickly as you can. But I'd make some measured offers if I had Gausman. and see what I could get for him.
All right, let's wrap up with some leftovers here and a quick conversation on Spencer Schwellenbach. Where are the strikeouts? He turned in a quality start up against the Cardinals. 7 innings, 8 hits, 3 runs, 2 of those earned, 5 strikeouts to 0 walks, only 9 whiffs on 92 pitches here. Interestingly, he gave up 10 hard hits in this game, but it was 84.7 average exit velocity against. So he also got a lot of soft contact. So interesting mix here. But it's been 5 strikeouts or fewer in 4 of 5 starts. The only one where he really went off was against the Marlins, which is a really good matchup. So what do you guys think? Where are the strikeouts for Schwellenbach?
Yeah, so the thing about Schwellenbach is the sample sizes are all small. The minor league sample size is small. The major league sample size is small. The sample size this season is small. So there is still a whiff of mystery box to him, or at least a whiff of every new trend could be something meaningful, just because we don't have the years and years of data to back it up. But regarding the lack of strikeouts in particular, while no one pitch has the 40+% whiff rates that the curveball and splitter had last year, everything kind of has a good whiff rate right now, except for the cutter. But entering this start, he had at least a 26% whiff rate on 5 different pitches. There is something to be said for lacking a true go-to put-away pitch. The slider has actually been his most used strikeout pitch, despite not being a great swing and miss pitch. So maybe it's just the slider plays up a little better. Maybe it's just throwing more splitters and curveballs in obvious swing and miss situations instead of the slider. But I'm not particularly concerned, and I say that as the person who was a little bit lower on Spencer Schwellenbach than certainly the consensus by the end of spring. I think he's really good. I'm not sure he's a top 12 pitcher, but he doesn't need to be a top 12 pitcher to be good.
Yeah, and he also had a 14.6% swinging strike rate overall entering this start, which will come down after this one, but I feel like he probably should have more than 7.7 K per 9 so far.
A lot of that was the Marlins start, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, but when I look game by game, he was kind of in the 11, 12% range for the other starts, which isn't bad. But it's
not
probably
bad.
Better than league average, but yeah.
I think hold is the appropriate response here for Schwellenbach, but I'd come closer to buying than selling. My hunch, and it's mostly just a hunch, is that this recent lack of whiffs is just going to be a blip, and he's still going to go on to be one of the biggest breakout pitchers this year.
Some hitting leftovers, studs being studs. Jose Ramirez had himself a big game, 2 for 5 with his 5th home run and 4 RBI. Austin Riley has been a bit up and down so far, 2 for 3 with his 6th homer, but his last 13 games, he's hitting .364, 5 home runs, in OPS over 1,000. And Francisco Lindor is picking things up sooner than he normally does, which gives me hope. He went 2 for 3 with a double dong, 4 RBI. He's hitting .284, 5 homers, 2 steals, .840 OPS. These guys are all studs. Do you have anything you want to add on them?
No.
All right.
Nope.
The call to the bullpen for the Red Sox, Aroldis Chapman entered in the 8th inning with a 3-run lead facing the top of the White Sox lineup, which featured 2 lefties. He did give up a run. It was Justin Slayton who got the 9th inning and picked up his 3rd save. Do you guys think that Justin Slayton should be rostered in deeper roto leagues as an ancillary kind of saves piece for fantasy?
It was weird to see this usage today. But that's the first time it's happened, right?
There was another game where Chapman came in the 8th against Corey Seager
opening day. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I think there will be, if there's lefties coming up,
yeah,
we might see him using the 8th.
Yeah, but it would have to be just 15-team leagues. And I think I might prefer speculating on Craig Yoho.
All right. For the Guardians, Class A was unavailable. Cade Smith got the 9th inning with a 2-run lead. He gave up a hit, but picked up his 1st save. For the Marlins, Jesus Tinoco got the 9th inning with a 3-run lead. He picked up his 2nd save. He also got the save on Sunday as well. He did that in extra innings. It was Anthony Bender who pitched the 8th, and Calvin Fauché, who pitched the 9th inning of that one. Do you guys see any rhyme or reason here to the Marlins bullpen usage? Are you interested in adding Tinoco at all?
It seemed like Fauché was getting the highest leverage spot again for a while until this game. And so I think they're still working through it, and hopefully one guy emerges sooner than later. The pecking order right now for fantasy, I would say, is Fauché, Tinoco, then Bender, but there's not a lot of assurance there.
All right, for the Tigers, Tommy Canley was unavailable. Will Vest got the 9th inning with a 2-run lead. He struck out one for his second save. For the Braves,
I'll note. So this was the 21st. So on the 19th is when Vest got his first save. And then the 20th, Canley pitched 2 innings. And then the 21st, Will Vest got his second save. So I don't know. I think Canley is still the Tigers closer, but Will Vest is at least emerging as a clear backup, and may turn into something of a timeshare between the two if Vest continues to pitch.
Wasn't Vest's first save Canley had thrown like multiple days in a row before that or something? There was some detail like that.
He had thrown 2 days in a row, yeah.
So Canley pitched 3 of 4 days before this.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was just purely...
No, I'm not denying he wasn't available. I'm just saying 2 of the last 3 days now, Vest has gotten a save, and he's pitched really well this year.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think your point about him being the clear backup is fine. I could be wrong about this. I don't think like they're sharing save duty. Like if Canley is available, I think he most often will get the 9th inning. But if something happens, then it could be Will Vest.
It's, AJ Hinch's MO. He doesn't like to stick with one guy.
For the Braves, and man, these non-save situations are just killing us right now. Raisel Iglesias got the 9th inning with a 4-run lead. He gave up 3 runs on a walk and 3 hits. Finally closed it out. He's now his ERA rose up to 6 after this outing, unfortunately. But we've just seen weird stuff from relievers to start the season. Another one, Edwin Diaz for the Mets. He entered the 9th inning with 2 runners on a 4-run lead. So this was a save opportunity. He gave up a 3-run homer, eventually closed it out, picked up his 6th save, but it's a 5.59 ERA and a 1.34 whip for Edwin Diaz as well. So for those Class A and Devin Williams managers out there, you're not alone. A lot of high-end closers have been, kind of annoying to start the season, we'll call it. For the Giants, Ryan Walker was unavailable. Camilo Doval got the 9th inning with a 3-run lead. He struck out 1 for his 3rd save. Same question as Justin Slayton. Do you see any ancillary kind of saves here for Camilo Doval in a deeper league?
I really don't, unless Walker continues to have outings like he had on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, he's only had 2 bad outings all year. But he also doesn't have a long track record. So it wouldn't surprise me if Ryan Walker loses the job. But I think Doval is just there are plenty of leagues where non-closing relievers have value, and Doval, I think, is good. So in those leagues, fine. But I'm not making him a huge priority unless there's one more bad outing from Walker. Then maybe I can talk about it.
To stream or not to stream on Tuesday. And who did we say yesterday? I don't think we like this day very much, but we have Will Warren at the Guardians, Nick Martinez at the Marlins. Griffin Canning is home against the Phillies.
That's bad.
Jose Quintana at the Giants. Jordan Hicks is home against the Brewers. Osvaldo Bido facing the Rangers.
I'm going to say Nick Martinez at Miami.
Yeah.
But I don't feel great about it. And then Bido against the Rangers, maybe Quintana against the Giants. None of these feel like great choices.
Cabrera against the Reds could be good, but yeah, I don't love any of these options.
And then on Wednesday, we have Luis L. Ortiz is home against the Yankees. We have Reese Olson home against the Padres. David Peterson home against the Phillies. Tomoyuki Sugano at the Nationals. Michael Lorenzen gets the Rockies in Kansas City. David Festa home against the White Sox. Andrew Heaney at the Angels. Erod home against the Rays. Kumar Rocker and JP Sears are facing each other. So I think slightly better options here.
Yeah, Erod, Eduardo Rodriguez, Kumar Rocker, David Festa.
I think Festa's my favorite
And
against the White
Lorenzen.
Sox, but he hasn't gone 5 innings yet.
Yeah.
And only 2 chances, to be fair. But that might if he doesn't give you 5 innings, that's going to be a disappointment.
Yeah, I think Festa for sure. Erod, I think, is fine. JP Sears is probably okay. Would not be surprised if Michael Lorenzen has a good start against the Rockies in Kansas City. This is their first series away from Coors Field. So, usually the bats are just lagging, and man, their lineup is just so bad. So, could see that one working out. Well, another week.
Come on, give us some.
I have
Don't
so
let
many.
Scott bullying you. Let's do it. Rapid fire.
We can speed through it. It's fine.
There's just we're so late already. All right, whatever. Team Day Tuesday. These are from JD Joseph on X. Johann Sebastian Schwellenbach.
I don't hate it.
Like that guy from that band.
I am unschwell.
Yeah.
The Seashwells.
Yeah.
Bach. It's not going Schwell.
Is that like Kathy when she goes like ack? Is that what that's supposed to be?
I don't think so. But I know what you're referring to.
I'm glad you enjoyed that, Scott.
This one is from Joe.
It probably wasn't written for me, but as a kid, I would, read all the comics in the comics section of the Sunday paper, and I just never understood Kathy. I'm like, who is this for?
She just can't get her life together. Ack!
Yeah.
This one's from Joe Steeler Simpson. Instead of Homer Simpson.
Oh, okay.
Taylor
Okay, yeah, I get it.
Simpson
All right.
Boo.
Yeah, no, that's one.
From Jake and KC, Lux Jury Cruz.
Yep.
These are terrible.
This is good.
This one's from Bernard. TP for my Jung Ho.
Okay.
From Alex, Bat Sugano.
I don't
know.
I don't get that one.
Is that like bat signal? Is that what he's thinking?
That feels like a stretch.
It is.
Pour some Sugano on me.
Yeah.
That's better.
These are from Nicholas. Yo ho, a Piam's life for me.
That's pretty good.
Happy Chris Mayton a Kwanzaa.
So I watched the OC, and that's what that would be.
Yeah. Is that a thing? Chris?
Yeah. Chris Mahana Kwanzaa.
Oh, okay.
I think that's his thing, right?
That's what it says here in
Maybe
parentheses, but I've never heard it before. You say arise, I say bayo.
Too many names.
There's got to be a better one than Araya, is there?
Man, I'm not saying this in a Hermione Granger voice. If someone else wants to go for it, you can go for it.
No, this is pretty good. It's Edmundo Sosa, not Edmundo Sosa.
That's pretty good. And Scott will like this one. My boobiches, but at least it's not my bummer.
Sure.
All right.
From Felix in Panama, peanut butter and Ellie.
Oh, I like food ones. I always like food ones.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Senga Genesis.
I like that.
Yeah.
Boba Fett.
That's good.
Not bad.
Only the good Cy Young.
That's great. I like that one. This is way to go, Felix.
I don't know what this is. Some Lisa Loeb song. You say I only hear what I want to.
One of my favorite songs of all time, "Stay" by Lisa Loeb.
Do you want to sing it?
You say I only hear what I want to. Yeah, that's good. That works.
Okay. Choreo Speedwagon.
Yeah, Churio Speedwagon. That works really well. That's good.
Class A Misdemeanors.
That's very good.
Ooh, I like that.
Smells like skiing spirit.
Yep, that's good.
Calm like a bone.
Is that that maybe a Rage Against the Machine? Is that what that is?
I don't know. Head Tovar Heels.
Yeah, that's a Rage Against the Machine song. Calm like a bomb. Way to go.
Yo, Holmes, Snell you lighter.
That's very good.
I got 99 problems.
I don't know about that one.
I'm going to stop there. I think he said those were PG-13. You lied to me, Felix. That last one was not PG-13. These last ones are from Glenn, hip-hop themed.
I think Chris Bubich's name would go there too. FWIW.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying they're good, but I hope you like some of them. Wu Tarang Clan.
That's good. That's good.
Rice Cube.
Yep.
Rice Tea.
I mean, yeah, pretty obvious, but yeah.
A Bybee called vest. There's a lot going on.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, and he capitalized the C, so it could be Alex Call too. How about that? Young Thug.
Yeah.
Naughty by Hater.
Yeah.
Lil Boz X.
Absolutely.
Low Thugs and Otani.
I think Bohm Thugs and Otani would probably work better.
Yeah,
there.
I think so. Salt and Keller.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah.
Barrios Hill.
Again, I think there's probably a better one out there. I don't have it right now, though.
De La Soler. That's good.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Run PCA.
Yeah.
And Beaver Boys.
Yeah.
I think Boyle Boys works better.
I want to get a sound drop for whenever we talk about Landon Roop, and then I could just play the shoop doo.
Yeah, there you go.
I feel like that would work pretty well. All right, we are going to wrap there for Scott and Chris. I am Frank. Thanks as always for tuning in to Fantasy Baseball today. Please make sure to follow and leave a 5-star rating on Apple or Spotify, and we will be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.
I'm chopped liver.